Hello everybody, Cone Dodger here, and welcome back to iRacing. This is a little bit of a surprise. It's actually a surprise for me. I didn't know that I was going to be doing this, but the fine folks over at iRacing sent out some promo codes for a please come back for all the people who have stopped playing or haven't played and haven't logged in for a certain amount of time. So it was $5 for 3 months. And I thought I would give it another try. I kind of got burnt out on iRacing. They released a build about 3 seasons ago that I didn't particularly like. They changed the tire model a lot, and the cars just in general, every car that was put onto the new tire model felt very skatey. Felt like the tires had no flex to them, and everything was just didn't have a good feel to it, basically, and it made it less fun. And beyond that, the cost was starting to get to me because money's real tight, and $12 a month or whatever, plus all the content that you need for a season. I couldn't handle it. But for $5 for 3 months, I figured I'd give it a try. And I've changed my recording style a lot here. I used to do it on a 720p window on my monitor here, and that was driving my eyes crazy. And it just didn't work for iRacing because you need the whole screen. I unfortunately don't have a 1080p monitor for my little sim rig thing over here, so I can't run full screen 1080p and record in that. I'm running full screen on this monitor, so you might see a little bit of cutting or clipping of the edges. I'm going to try to do on the bottom because there's not much you want to see on the bottom there. You'll just be seeing the steering wheel of the car. So that's where that will be from. I am recording with OBS for the first time instead of Fraps, and that is so that I can run unlocked frames and run in this strange window mode here, and I have the webcam built into it so I don't have to do any post-processing for that. So it should overall make it much easier than the last time I tried to do this. So enough of that, let's get into the game here. I am in a practice session that nobody has joined yet, but that's okay. I will be extremely rusty. I am at Daytona, the road course. This is the Advanced Mazda Cup, I believe it is called. Maybe it's just Advanced Mazda Challenge, something like that. It's one of those. It's a C license level series instead of the rookie level like the original Mazda series is. I like that addition. That's a good one. This is one of the cars I feel like was hurt the most in the update. I used to really enjoy driving this car, and once the update came out, I hated it. So we'll see how I like it here. Alright, getting my bearings back here. I've been doing a lot of time in Assetto Corsa, and that game drives pretty significantly different than this. Honestly, Assetto Corsa is probably a little bit more on the arcade side than is iRacing. It still has a very realistic feel, but it's much more forgiving than iRacing is. iRacing is, I guess you would say, as real as it gets. Do I have my best lap on? Yes, I do. Okay. I would like to get my reference bar up too. I guess maybe that'll start after a lap. Alrighty, so now that I've got a lap in to kind of get my bearings straight, try and give some thoughts on the overall feel of the game and the car and whatnot. Like I said, it has been a while, so I may not completely remember what it was like before, but I'm just curious to see if it's any better, and I'll know because as soon as they did that tire update, everything just felt bad to me. It didn't feel realistic. I felt like they were trying to make the game feel harder to make it seem more realistic. I don't know if that's what they were doing or if the tire model they were going after just made it seem that way. Maybe it was more realistic and I just couldn't handle it. That's a definite possibility. I don't remember ever driving this particular car at Daytona, but I did a lot of laps here at the Daytona road course. This is my home track, if you will. I go to the Rolex 24 every year. I've never driven here, of course, in real life, but it's on the bucket list. It's one of my favorite road courses. I do like it. Ran wide there. I do like the flatter kind of sweeping turns on a road course. overall, it's feeling pretty good. It's just like getting back on the horse. It's amazing how much you remember. It has been, I don't even know, it could be upwards of 6 months since I've played iRacing at all. Me and Damon, the guy I work for on the Spec Miata team, we did some practices every now and again just to prepare for a weekend. That was a little early. But other than that, I have not done any actual racing in a long time. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to. Honestly, I will have to kind of feel it out and see. I may just do a couple pickup races every now and again. I kind of doubt I will be making a series out of this, out of iRacing once again. Obviously, that's how I started Let's Race with Cone. Coming to line. That time we run in a 2:18. Feels like there's a ton of time left out here, though. That was way shallow into there. That's not the way to do it. See, I gain a bunch of time in, but I'm gonna lose it all coming out. Turn 1's like that. It's so tempting to kind of try and throw it into turn 1. And this one as well. A lot of these turns are that way, that if you... Oh, went way wide there. They feel like you can really push it down into the turn and try and really attack the apex. You just pay the price so much out. There's not much grip on the infield section of this track. It hasn't been repaved in a while. It's typically very sandy. Peg those valves real quick. Force feedback's much different than I remember it. Maybe my settings are gone or something like that, but it feels very very weak right now, and I'm not getting much feel for the track. Yeah, I would say it's set a little too low. I like a very high force feedback setting. You don't get any seat of the pants feel with sim racing, so you kind of have to use the force feedback as a tool. I can feel a little bit of it on the banking here. It's probably one of the stronger points of iRacing versus, say, R-Factor, Live for Speed, even Assetto Corsa, is that the force feedback just seems to be much more realistically laid out. It's not there for effect, it's there for teaching you how to drive or showing you what the car is doing. Now, the last iRacing series or videos I did was all post-commentary. I didn't particularly care for it. At the time, the viewers were okay with it, but that was pretty early on in my YouTubeage. I prefer the live commentary style. I prefer just hearing my general thoughts, like on the spot, what's going on. But when it comes to racing, especially in this sim, did it again, pushed it way too hard into one. It's very difficult to string your thoughts together. You're really focusing on a lot at the same time. So it's going to be, I'm going to just have to accept that it's going to be a different commentary style than most of the stuff that you see out there. I think I was too focused on trying to make it a Let's Play. Like, trying to make it like a constant commentary. And I don't know if it necessarily needs to be that. Certainly when you're watching somebody drive an actual race car, they're not talking the whole time, and it's just physically impossible for them to do that. I love watching videos where people or professional race car drivers will go on a lap and they'll try and commentate their lap, but even then, it's not the solid wall of commentating every single little detail. Daytona in this car, it's not too difficult. Lots of breaks in between turns, stuff like that. The banking where you can just kind of put your head back and sleep for a little while. Oh, no, run off the track. This is what it has to be like working for that jump car team there a couple months ago, and we were running 240 in the Lexus. They aren't slow cars, but they're probably only as fast as this. And they're running street tires, or, you know, 140 treadwear tires. So these times are pretty much in that same range as what they were running. So yeah, you definitely get some brakes. Then there'd be a VW going 60 miles an hour in the bank, and I'll wake you up. Alright, well, I'm going to do a few laps here and try and get those times down and see how competitive. I don't have a real good setup or anything. I'm using an old Watkins Glen setup I had. I just want to get a good feel for it and maybe learn how to make turn 1 again someday. Alright, well, I'm feeling pretty good about it now. You can see I took about 1.5 seconds off of this lap. I think I've finally gotten turn 1 down here. Well, almost. Still a little too hot in there. You can see I'm paying the price out. Still on a green sector 1. One thing I've always been really impressed by with this sim is the brake feel, and I don't know what it is about that. There's obviously no force feedback when it comes to the braking, but I've always had a real good feel as to how to threshold the brakes. I'm not using any kind of driver's aids like that, so it's not ABS or anything in that nature. But oop, there goes those valves again. Just always had a real good feel for how much brake pressure the car needs or where it's going to lock up. And I think a lot of that has to do with the force feedback. Like when you're getting close to that, that's how you get that launch out of there. Oh, tail end wanted to come around now. But yeah, when you're getting near the lockup point, the force feedback starts to get like light, or it almost feels like it's starting to. Oops. See, that's what talking does to you. It starts to feel like it wants to straight line. I don't remember what the shift points in this car are. I know it has a very, very slopey, gentle torque curve. Yeah, that was not good through the bus stop, but a pretty decent run out. That's important. It's all about momentum with this car. So it looks like I'm on pace to maybe take another 1.5 seconds off. Get down into the 216s, that would be cool. I'd be happy with that. And then we'll go on and maybe look at a different car, maybe something else that I've driven before. What did I end that series with? I think I was driving the McLaren in the Grand Am series. So we'll see if maybe there's a race available in that in the GT3. 216.9. Not bad, not bad. I still not real good into turn 1 here. So yeah, I've got to get that on the throttle much sooner than I am. There's so little place, there's so few places here to make up time that little things like that, just nailing that apex into turn 1 and getting on the throttle through the S's there before the East Horseshoe? West Horseshoe? One of them horseshoes. All the wrong gears there. Means everything as far as your momentum for the whole infield section, and that's where you're gonna find time. Getting on the throttle out of here. Nope. This is one thing that still really bugs me, is that they don't display the driver turning the wheel in the car. A lot of people don't leave this on, the displayed driver wheel. I prefer it. I like seeing the wheel in the car, it makes it, I guess it's an immersion thing for me. It makes it feel like I'm in control. And I would much prefer it if it was one-to-one with my steering wheel, if it showed my steering inputs completely instead of stopping at 90 degrees. Just kind of my personal opinion on that one. I'm sure not everybody agrees. Like I said, most people I see do not run with the virtual wheel on. I'm weird though. And I'm a creature of habit. I've been using it for so long. I don't think there's a single sim game out there that had that option available that I didn't use it. So I'm just used to it. All right, before I quit, I really just want to try and hit turn 1 so I can show you what I mean there. Come on, car. The sense of speed is pretty low in this game as well. I'm doing 130 miles an hour right now, and it feels like I'm kind of crawling. So of course, 130 miles an hour feels like you're flying.
3, 2, 6.
Missed it again. Not as bad. See how much earlier I got on the gas there, but it's gonna wash wide. Yep, got up on the curb. Well held, but just a second later on the throttle, and that could have been very good. Give it one more try. One more try. Okay, well I had a pretty lousy run out of the bus stop. That doesn't hurt me too bad, so I shouldn't be hurting for sector 1 time. But let's see if we can hit that break point. I hope the footage isn't terribly grainy. I've done a little testing with it, and I've noticed that maybe it looks a little bit more grainy than it does when I record with Fraps. But I want to stick with OBS for the ease of recording for me, and the possibility of maybe doing some streaming in iRacing here. Missed it again. Well, not too bad. But I didn't get on the throttle as soon as I would have liked. So probably a little setup work needs to be done, and I need to really find my breakpoint into there. But let's go ahead and quit this session. Nobody else seems to have joined, so I don't know how my times stack up. But I'll see what's going on with the McLaren at this point, if there's anything available. I've also got the rough, the Porsche wannabe car, if there's no McLaren ones. Alrighty, McLaren MP4 12C at Sebring. I guess it's a Florida kind of day. We're sticking to the Florida tracks. I don't know if I have a setup for Sebring. I don't know if I ever ran the GT3 series at Sebring or Grand Am, whatever it was. But we'll just give kind of a general first impressions of the track. There is a ton of people. There's at least 2 full practice sessions. This one only has like 4 or 5 people in it, so I figured I would go with it since I'm so rusty. I'd like a setup, please. Failed tech, of course, because who knows what setup I have in there. Let's see, we have anything Sebring-y? Sebring! Haha. I'll probably do some changes to it to make it. Yep, because they always change the rules. Alrighty, well, here's a familiar sight. The cockpit of this car is like, you get this much viewing space. I probably should have gone further rough, but I didn't really get much time in that car. Turn down the volume. The car's a little bit louder than Miata. Alright, can we look? I don't think there's anybody around. Oh, pit limiter's not on. Crap. Speeding a bits. Oops. I don't even know what the limiter button is. Okay, it's clear. Alright, let's not go 45. It's quite a transition going from the Miata to this. Now, I know they did a lot of balancing with this car overall to try and make it more competitive, so it's going to have a little bit different feel than I'm used to just off of that. It seemed very slow and non-responsive. Don't be in the way, don't be in the way. Before, and this a pretty good comparison because this car is in a Soda Corsa. I believe there's even a GT3 version, so I might have to give that a try after this just to compare and see the difference. Now, Sebring's a track I don't particularly know as well as, say, Daytona. I do know it, I know the layout and whatnot, but I certainly haven't spent as much time on it. And it's a pretty tricky track. It's bumpy, very bumpy, and there's not a whole lot of landmarkers to go off for braking points. There's enough cones and whatnot set up, but other than that, not much. I like to get relative time up, just so I don't get in anybody's way. Car feels pretty good. Let's see. There we go. Again, with the force feedback, I think I'm not wanting to change it just yet. I didn't cut the course, I went off the course. I'm gonna wait for this guy to pass. I probably didn't need to, but I really don't want to get anybody's way today. There it goes. What was I saying? Oh, I don't want to change force feedback because it does seem like it saved my settings from before. I think I'm just not used to it. I think I may have them too high in Assetto Corsa, and it's just changing my opinion of what it should feel like here. Because I definitely am feeling the grip levels in the steering. There's parts of the track that feel like I'm losing the front end or losing the back end, especially with this car. The Miata is so much different to drive. It's so forgiving. This is the exact opposite of that, as you're seeing there. It's very unforgiving. You go a little bit past the grip threshold and it will just chew you up, throw you out, put you in the garbage. I think the Porsche is probably a little easier to drive. The one I'd really like to try is the new BMW Z4, based off the GTD car. Jeez. Oh man. I don't think I pick up much damage from that. But I am going to try and once again get my bearings straight, be able to do some decent laps, and give you a better opinion on the car and everything like that. Okay, so overall, I'm still fighting a lot of the same things I used to fight with this car. That's very twitchy, unpredictable braking. I think I've probably got too much rear bias in this setup, or at least for my comfort level at the moment. It's still a lot of fun to drive. It's very rewarding if you hit your lines. It's also very evil if you don't. See, like right there, I just barely missed apex, and it's just like, nope, we're not turning now, nope. I would like to get one clean lap, and it hasn't happened yet. It may not happen, period. It's a hard car to drive on a very difficult circuit. I would definitely not step up into this level of racing to start out with. I would start with the Miata or something like that just to try and get back into it. Because although I may remember the basics and the basic feel of the game, I don't necessarily remember the finer details that a series or a car like this would require. You definitely need to work up the ladder in iRacing. You can't just jump into a fast car without a lot of practice and a lot of time spent. But it's still a lot of fun to try. You know, really assess your skill level with stuff like this. And this is certainly not top tier, but it's getting up there. Formula cars are just insane. But I always kind of preferred the feel of the open wheel cars. Maybe it's just the better view you have. This turn's so crazy. There's just crazy bumps in there that, well, if you run wide like this, you can get in a lot of trouble. But a lot of cars have been lost in that tire wall right there. Well, that was a somewhat clean lap, not a very fast one. Trying to improve. Oh, you see it there? You see it? Yeah. Just it's so hair trigger. If you get a little bit out of shape, it's gonna go. I haven't felt that in any other car besides this one. Well, I've made some small changes to the setup, including putting a little bit more front bias in it. I'm still not feeling it though. I don't feel like the back end of the car is under me, especially in the long sweeping turns like this one. The middle section of the track is actually pretty good. The slower turns, I feel like I've got down pretty well when I hit them anyway. And my optimal lap time is actually down pretty far into what would be a good time. I just can't seem to put a whole lap together. That's not an easy feat. Feels like I'm locking the fronts now, which is not good for time, but at least I might be able to get a decent lap in. It's weird, I usually like a lot of rear bias, but for some reason the way this car was set up, which does have ABS and traction control in a limited fashion, it just wasn't working for me. Try and float this guy here into the power. Not a disaster of a lap so far. Gonna watch it right here. The back end wants to swap around all through these. Try and get wide on the brakes. Missed the apex there. As you can see, a lot of time made up. I've not been able to hit that turn very well just yet. Might get down into the 7s at least. Still, the 205 range is where I'd like to be. Ooh, that was hot into here. But much easier with that front bias. The back end's not wanting to swap around. Too fast in the center though. You almost have to treat it like two different turns. There's the sweeping part in, and then there's a real tight spot in the middle. Oh, 206. So we're getting closer. Definitely better with that front bias. Much more planted through there. Probably hurts me a little in these slower turns. Ooh, back in there. Okay. I can live with it. Back to the throttle. Gonna be losing time all the way down the straightaway. Early on the brakes there, try and get this apex. Feels like you're going so slow. That's how you get out of that turn. Bunch of time gained right there. That delta meter is such a big help when you're learning a track. Or learning a car on a track. You gotta stay off that curb. It's a killer. That's weird, didn't want to go down. And a second there. Lost a little. This car has such a flat sound, like it doesn't change pitch very much, that it's kind of hard to shift correctly. It's hard to get your shift points. Can't do it by audio very well. Oh, nose. Oh, off track. This car will do that at times, as most mid-engine cars do. It just rolls onto that front end and it just won't do anything. Let's see if we can improve in here though. hit the apex there, and that bump pushes you out. A little better, but still definitely running way too wide. This might be in the lower sixes. Into a 6-0. Easy into one here. Get on the throttle. Easy now, car. Starting to get a little bit of a feel for it. Jeez. Just no rear grip at all right there. And it's not power that's doing it, it's just the momentum of the back end being carried around. Which is actually a much harder thing to correct than power sliding, if you will. Got our optimal down under to the 4s though. That would be really good if we could manage that.
Target.
Real easy out of there. Washed a little wide, but didn't hurt us. That was nicely done. There's so much focus to drive a car like this. Things come at you so fast. Harder on the brakes than here. So get on the gas. I had to lift a little bit, but much better. This will definitely be a good time. Let's shift there. It's all going to come down to this. On the gas very early. Much better. 2:04.7. I'm happy with that time. Oh, and I think that might be the time we get. Let's look at the charts. So yeah, we're still in the bottom, but we're at least in the ballpark now. I might try for a little bit longer and see if I can get a little bit of time off of there. Okay, give it another go. Been losing a little time in turn 1. I haven't quite got it like that one time that I hit it just right. See, I'm still losing time out. Overall, a better time. Go. Ooh, up on the curb. This turn's so tricky. So I'm kind of just... That was not off track. Bull. Oh well, we'll still stick with it. Again, nice and slow into here. A little too fast. Feather the throttle. Still up on time. Green is good. It's the only green I see nowadays. It's a money joke. Okay, stay off the evil curb. It's kind of a weird section there. All the pavement just kind of runs away from you. A little bit slow in there. Hundredths aren't going to matter. We got seconds to make up. Cone's on the track. More than me anyway. On the gas sooner. Yep. Not a great run out of there, but a lot better than a lot of the attempts I've made. Alright, let's see if we can keep this second. Really deep in. Keep on the brakes. Nice and slow. Car spun on the right. Still clear. I think we're going to get to keep this one. 2:03.8. Did we move up at all? 6th place! We're not last. Success. Give this... Nope, nope, nope. We're not going to give this lap a try. That's going to be it. Alright, well, let me get off the track. Well, I do hope you have enjoyed this return to iRacing. I don't know if it's going to be a full-time thing or not. Probably not. But I probably will throw it in on occasion with Let's Race with Cone. I would definitely like to get into streaming, and this is a great format for streaming, not so much the YouTube Let's Play kind of thing, because there's hours and hours of practicing and qualifying and stuff like that that goes into it, that you can't really condense down into video. It doesn't work that way, from what I've seen. So we'll see if that happens in the future. If not, well, like I said, we'll just come back to it every now and again and see what's up in the world of iRacing. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.